I have Miss Graciano. Is that Marcia?
No.
Okay.
Shouldn't be.
I'm going to admit participants.
Okay.
Good morning. We'll be getting started soon. And it's a little, excuse me, it's a little after 9. If we want to get started, I will monitor the participants in the Zoom meeting. You can put questions in the chat for when we get to the question and answer session. And I will be checking our public input live meeting as well.
All right, that sounds great, Cassie. So we'll go ahead and get started this morning. And first off, I want to welcome everyone to our meeting and thank you for sharing your time with us on a Saturday morning in this beautiful fall. Today, we're here to talk about the Ferry Road project, which you know, and this is an exciting project that Buncombe County has undertaken with some support from our friends at the UNC School of Government Development Finance Institute. It's a really exciting project, and our agenda today, we'll just start going through. We're going to give you an overview of the project and kind of how we got to where we are with the timeline. We'll look at some site layouts, and then we'll talk about our next steps. As Cassie said at the beginning, if you've got any questions along the way, please feel free to put those in the chat. We'll be monitoring the chat throughout, and we'll be sure to get to those questions at the end. So there's our agenda on the screen. We're going to keep moving to the next slide. So the history of this project, for those that are familiar, the property has been with Buncombe County since 2015. Prior to that, was slated for development of a water pump station as well as some other potential opportunities. But in 2015 was acquired for an economic development purpose. That project never proceeded. However, in 2021, Buncombe County commissioners saw an opportunity to utilize this property to address some of the community needs that we face that I know many of you are familiar with around housing, conservation, and recreation. And so in 21 began a process with the firm to identify some potential ways to utilize that property. In 2022, the county commissioners endorsed a vision for that property and tasked our group to move forward to bring that vision to reality. And that's what we'll share with you today. We've already had a number of public engagement sessions this year on the latest plans, and those are what we'll share with you today. But just wanted you to know this is one of many opportunities to engage with us, certainly not the last. But we'll keep moving to the next slide. So the Ferry Road property, if you're not familiar, it's 137 acres off of Brevard Road, but also, adjacent to the French Broad River. And when we looked at the parcel, Commission had clear expectations and goals for what we could accomplish. And right off the bat, saw an opportunity to conserve lands on the site and have committed to conserving 60% of the property, which amounts to 72 conserved acres on the site. Really exciting opportunity because of, again, the adjacency to the French Broad River, but also the critical and secondary and primary conservation zones, the interesting flora and fauna on the site. In conserving the property, we managed to protect, 5,500 linear feet of tributaries and French Broad River frontage, which we think is really exciting. And I'm seeing a comment from Mise about some potential feedback coming in. And so just wanted to note that for you, Cassie. The protected waterways and buffers are really important. By protecting these waterways and buffers, we ensure that we prevent stormwater and other types of sediment from getting into our river, which is extremely important. Additionally, the project seeks to deliver one community green as well as 5 pocket parks of almost an acre when you put them all together. The project will also deliver on public recreation opportunities, including almost 2 miles of greenway, 2 miles of unpaved trails, but also importantly, trailheads to get to that access so that the public at large can have the opportunity to share on these sites as well. A key feature of the site on the front end was defining a space for community services. And so thinking about that on the front end rather than on the back end. And so we've programmed in approximately 20,000 square feet for what we're calling community services. And in our minds, that could be potentially childcare. It could be a health clinic. It could be some type of community center space. We're not really envisioning traditional commercial in this area, but this is something we wanted to make sure that we address on the front end. At the end of the day, when we bring it all together and talk about all these key features and the goals on the site, a key goal that I haven't even mentioned yet is the delivery of affordable housing on the site. We're committed to 55% affordability on the site, and Sarah will walk us through that today in terms of what that means and who that could support. But when you bring it all together, what we're really talking about is equitable development. And it's the idea that folks that live in housing for low to moderate income individuals have access to the same types of amenities we would expect from higher means. And when we talk about amenities, I'm talking about those things I've already mentioned, public recreation, trails, greenways, parks, conserved lands, but also community services. And so for us, it's been very important to make sure that this development sets a standard and an example for what an equitable development can look like for those of low to moderate income. So those are our key features. Really excited to get into the details with you today. And so as I transition to the next slide, I'm going to introduce Sarah Odia and Marcia Parrott, who have joined us from UNC School of Government, and they're going to tell you more about themselves.
Great, thank you. So I am Sarah Odio. I'm an Assistant Director for Housing and Revitalization with the Development Finance Initiative out of the UNC Chapel Hill School of Government. I'm joined by our Director, Marcia Parrott. So what is the school? If you are not familiar, the School of Government is really an incredibly special place. It is one of the largest university-based local government training and research organizations. So instead of just sending students out into the world, the goal is to be there constantly available for local governments to help them do what they do in all facets of delivering services to residents in their communities. Our program, the Development Finance Initiative out of the school, is focused on helping local governments with attracting private investment for transformative real estate development projects. So our expertise is around real estate development and finance. Our goal is to help bridge those public and private interests that are so critical to seeing development accomplished in communities in a way that meets the goals at the local level. And as part of the School of Government, our kind of leading values are neutrality, we are nonpartisan, and our goal is to be as responsive as possible to what a community wants to see happen in their backyard. So the work that we have been brought on to do for Buncombe County is focused on putting together a development on this site, on the Ferry Road site, that meets both the public and the private sector interests. And we will not be delivering a report that will sit on the county's desk. Our goal is to help the county make decisions about what it wants to see done, and go out there and help them find a master development partners to actually finance, construct, and operate a mixed-use development on this site. We do this first by helping them structure a public-private partnership. And our approach is like any other developer, right? We would come in and we look at the market. What's the demand for the product? We look at the site. What can you fit within the physical and the regulatory constraints? And we look at the financials, which is what are the funding sources that a private developer will be able to bring to the table? And what, if any, public investment is needed to make this project work? Unlike just any developer, DFI, who will not be the developer, but helps facilitate it, we look at the public interest and how that impacts or shapes what can actually happen with this project. So the public interest for this project for Ferry Road, after that long process that Tim described, DFI came in and we looked at all the public interest and tried to achieve as many as possible, understanding that there are always trade-offs. And so public interest for this site are that development of the Ferry Road site should create a diverse, mixed income, multi-generational community, be a model for sustainability and stewardship. This is that conservation priority, be a hub and connector for recreational opportunities, provide equitable transportation access and prioritize pedestrians and bicyclists within the site, include commercial or service-oriented uses, and optimize public investment and attract private investment. DFI also explored including a commercial or specialized manufacturing employer. And after kind of weighing the trade-offs, the priority really has been moving forward with that residential community with a super emphasis on conservation as well. So this is the plan. And what we see here, I'll walk you through it carefully. So the main access road will be off of Brevard Road. Can you see my mouse moving? No, not. Okay. Will be off of Brevard Road. So people will enter through this main road, or the other option will be up Ferry Road as a secondary access. If you enter through this primary road, you would drive in, and when you first arrive on the site, there will be a community green, the idea being a central gathering place for community members. And at the heart of the site will be a building that is focused on community services. So this could include childcare or health clinic or both. There is sufficient space within this building to allow for that. Now, given the development timeline, which we'll talk about at the end, we don't have a childcare provider ready today, but the goal will be to have that space available to accommodate and work with a childcare and or healthcare clinic to build out a space that's appropriate for them. So you arrive on the site and you have this childcare healthcare clinic. If you were to go left on the site, you would move into an apartment community. Here, these are 3-story buildings. and there are about 270 units across this area. If you kind of drive up, so if you came in through Ferry Road and made a left, or if you were to drive up past the community green and you would go past into the northern pad here, there will be an additional 260 apartment units here. These are 4-story buildings to accommodate them. Back to the community green, if you go right, then you are entering a space where you have a transition to townhomes, duplexes, and moving down towards kind of more single family detached homes. So these are just traditional single family homes all across and all down the ridge as you head down into the ridge. Now, all of this, these are about 115 units here. All of this together is, you can see throughout the site, there are these pocket parks, and it's all surrounded by this conserved area. You can see off the end of these ridges, off the multifamily, access to these greenways that cut through the entire site. Breaking down kind of what is the price point for these products. So for that lower density, medium density, so these single family homes to those townhomes, there will be homes that are valued between 115,000 to 400,000 plus. For the apartments, we will have rents that range from $375 a month to upwards of $2,500 a month for a 3-bedroom. Who will this community serve? Now, this is the big question, right? Which is, when we're talking about affordable housing, who are we serving? So what you can see here is that the way that we talk about affordable housing is we talk about restricting units for households at a certain income level. So restricting units for low and moderate income households. A low income household is a household earning 60% of the area median income and below. So who is that? Those are people working in food prep that can't afford to spend more than $500 a month in their housing expenses. This includes personal care aides, so people that are working with the seniors in your community. This includes child care workers. So when we're talking about adding in a child care center in the middle of this community, who is going to work there? And so low income households include these child care workers. This community will also have units reserved for moderate income households. Moderate income is considered 80% of the area median income and below, so roughly $48,000 a year. This includes medical assistants, social service specialists. These are the people that are working with low-income households, and elementary school teachers. So when we're talking about reserving units for teachers and childcare workers, we really mean reserving units for teachers and childcare workers. There will be about 55 units in the apartments that will be reserved for households that are extremely low income, 160 for those medical service workers, and about 55 for that teacher, that household earning 80% of the area median income and below. There will also be about 260 what we say are market rate units. Market rate really refers to units that are unrestricted. Anybody can live there. Anybody who applies and qualifies can afford to live, and can afford to live or wants to live in these apartments can. On the home ownership side, we have about 50 homes that will be reserved for those low and moderate income households. There will be about 30 in the space that we call middle income. So these are cottage courts, you can see that here, smaller homes that are affordable by virtue of their size, and that are naturally going to be more affordable to households earning a little bit more than that teacher, but definitely less than what is market rate in the community. And there will be about 35 homes. The price on those are really going to be whatever somebody is willing to pay for them. So this will go to this will be kind of a competitive space for those 35. So looking more closely at the conserved area, there are about 72 acres that will be conserved and an estimated 2 miles of greenway connecting to the Bent Creek Trail system. You can see that this trail system really goes all throughout this site. It is meant to allow access from Ferry Road and connect the residents of the apartments on both ends and the ridges to this greenway system. Now, what's important to note is that we're at the very beginning of thinking about and building out this area, right? What will ultimately happen is that the county or county partner will take ownership and they will or hold on to their ownership of this land and really design a system that works well for the community. Just digging a little bit more into the space at the heart of this. As I said, we're a couple years out from anything happening. And what is going to happen, what we have done so far, is go out and see if there is interest in the space. And so we're finding interest from both healthcare clinics and childcare to open a space here, but the details of it will be ironed out over time. So what does this look like? What will this cost? Overall, public-private investment for this project is going to be around $210 million. The county is projected to spend or contribute approximately $34 million of that overall $210. That is about 16% of the overall cost will be through public investment. Now, keep in mind that includes 54% of the site affordable to low and moderate income households. And this includes that conserved area and that greenway system. The timeline for this project is that the next step in all of this will be for the county to go out and find and select a development partner that meets its values, that is experienced and qualified to be able to do a project of this scale. Once they identify a partner that they want to work with, remember, they have all the control here. They don't have to work with somebody. They get to select, the county gets to select its partner. Once they select a partner, there is a lot of time here that's built in to negotiating agreements to ensure that that development partner upholds their commitments to this project and the way that the county has envisioned it. Once those agreements are in place, then the developer will go out and start that work on the site, that pre-development work. And no one should expect to see anything happening, any dirt really moving on the site for at least another 2 years. And first we'll be kind of preparing the site, and then we'll be beginning construction on the actual units. So we are at least 3 years away from seeing any units delivered in this community. Next up, there will be another public meeting at 200 College Street on Thursday, November 9th. And then the county is beginning a planning process and taking the site through a rezoning. There will be meetings for that, and that's kind of to be determined. Please stay involved with the public input page for any updates, meeting links, and any other upcoming engagement opportunities. So, any questions?
Can we talk?
Please, yes,
Oh,
jump
okay.
in. Please
I have
jump
a
in.
question about the daycare clinic building.
Yes.
That's just going to bring even more cars that are from outside the area into our area, correct?
I mean, the expectation is there will be in this community. I mean, we're going to have 645 units at least, plus this center. There will be an increase in traffic, but the goal and what was planned is to really expand the road infrastructure so that it can handle the additional traffic that will come through as a result of more people living here and the services as well.
Will you guys be conveying to us the guidelines that the, Department of Transportation is going to use to do a study? Because Brevard gets really bad at certain times of day. If they come out on a Sunday at 8 in the morning, it's not going to show the true story. We're already bogged down at certain hours in this area. Is the infrastructure going to go in before you guys start breaking ground in this area, or we're going to do this backwards and figure it out after?
I'm glad to chime in on this. And the traffic study is something that we'll contract out, and we'll do it in partnership with DOT. And they will look at various times of day and day of the week. I don't know what those exact times will be at this time, but it is something that we're committed to as Buncombe County doing on the front end of the process, and something we'll do before it's truly required, because we think it's important to do that. Additionally, for us at Buncombe County, the road infrastructure we view as critical, and so we've always committed to the new access road as well as improving the existing roads as critical. Like, there's no way around it in order to make this site accessible. So it's not an after, it's in conjunction with, in parallel with.
The reason I ask that is because buses don't come to our area. And if you have low income, renters here, what are we looking at here? I mean, are they going to have cars? That's the only situation I find a little alarming with the amount of people that you want to put here. It's the cars, it's the roads, it's the impact on us as people that live in the area.
And I appreciate you raising that. Traffic is often a question we get related to any development projects. And as we've said, we're committed to doing a traffic study on the front end to determine what's needed of the infrastructure, but also to build a new access road and improve the existing roads. If you're familiar with Ferry Road and Drive Ferry, those roads could use improvement just for today. And so that's what we're looking at doing. And that's a part of the process.
Okay.
Ms. Graciano, you are our kind of main attendee here in the Zoom today. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Because
I'm a little late to the game. I saw your presentations after the fact when there was like A, B, C, and D and E. We were really hoping for, the lower amount, but if that's not the case, how are you going to affect our Ferry Road? Because that's another thing. I mean, I'm all for progress. I love the greenways and all that, but it also brings other problems with, people from other areas coming around and changing the safety in our area as well. Those are my concerns. I'm not against progress. I get it. But how did it come to this amount? This is like the highest amount of people that you can put in that area. No? How did that come to be?
Sarah, feel free to talk about the process for analyzing this. And, I hope you don't feel that you're late to the game. We've had multiple public opportunities, and we'll continue to have those for you to engage with us on this. So don't view this as the end by any means.
And I'll talk.
Mr. Love, does that mean that there would be any changes if we all opposed it, or we're just going to be watching the process as just watching, nothing we can do?
Well, we're always wanting to hear from the community, which is why over the past 2 years we've scheduled over 10 sessions to discuss this project, and we've adjusted our plans based on much feedback that we've heard from the community. However, the goals of the property have always been to deliver additional housing, affordable housing, which means housing to low to moderate income, which could be individuals, as Sarah said, that are first-year teachers in emergency services or any variety of areas. But it's also a mixed income development, and I'd like to stress that. And Sarah talked about the market compatibility there. So there will be many more opportunities for y'all to provide feedback. So please continue to.
I'm happy to talk about the process a little bit more. You know, our goal is to put together a project that meets these interests that came out of these 2 years of engagement. And the leading ones being to have, you know, as many units that are affordable as possible for low and moderate income households. So I'm trying to pull up the map. And so what we did in looking at this is we look at what a developer will be able to build. So, you know, this site is pretty insane, right? A lot of mountain, it is not flat in any way whatsoever. And so the cost of just flattening the site and making it developable is significant. And so if the county were just to come in and build 10 homes on it, or let's say 100 homes on it, those homes would have to be valued at million plus, right? Which is what the market would do on its own. But by the county stepping in, they're able to really drive this. And more density means being able to provide more affordable units. I think there are about 8,100 households, is that correct, Marcia, in Buncombe County that right now are spending more than 50% of their income on housing costs. And that's huge. That's a lot of people that need housing. And so the county does not have that many, you know, properties. There aren't that many in Buncombe because there isn't that much land that is possible for this. And so they really kind of came in and said, let's max this out so that we can use our resources to try to put a dent in that 8,100 number. And so we came in and we looked at that from what the county needs, and we look at it from what a developer will be able to build. And so all of that together is how we came to these plans. It is a lot of density. I mean, we do recognize that there will be additional traffic on Ferry Road, but this is really one of very few opportunities to make a difference in the housing needs that they have in the county. So that was long-winded, but I don't know if I answered.
Miss Odio,
Yes.
the density is a lot, but when you're saying that we have a lot of opportunities, what does that mean? It's not going to change this plan at all, is it?
Don't have a lot. I'm saying there aren't that many opportunities to build more housing that's affordable.
Okay. How about some transparency on how they're going to do the impact study? That way we know that they know what they're doing, and then maybe they would think to adjust or just fix, you know, Brevard or the exit off of 126, you know, I-26. I mean, is any of that going to happen before you guys break ground? Because it would seem logical to fix the surrounding areas for it first, no? Am I not thinking correctly?
I understand your questions, and I would say that we've been committed to transparency throughout, which is why we've had so many engagement sessions and will continue to have engagement sessions throughout the process. For this property to be rezoned, there will be multiple public meetings. A key question will, of course, be traffic and the results of that traffic study. And so that'll be information that is available.
And the other part, Mr. Love, the transportation, is there anything in the works to help with that, with the bus lines coming a little further out? Because that would relieve a lot too. So
there is a line on Brevard Road, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It ends right about where the outlet mall is, which is, you know, less than a quarter mile from this site. That line is not, there are no plans to extend that line at this point, but as the city of Asheville, you know, continues to see growth, I'm sure we'll explore that. We've broached that topic with them, but that's not something that's committed to at this point.
And I'll add, when planning bus lines, part of it is, and part of the consideration is density. Where are there enough people? Where are there enough people that are going to use the bus system to justify an additional stop? And so having this development here actually increases the case, or makes a better case for an additional stop.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Sarah, I think unless there's any other questions,
Cassie, do we have any questions online?
No questions online.
all right. Well, for those that are in attendance, any final thoughts or questions for us?
I hope you really keep us in mind, the community that's already here, when the final, decisions come down. Because it is impacting a bunch of families on this side of Ferry. Thanks for your work.
Thank you. And Sarah, if you don't mind, just if we could jump to the final slide talking about next steps, just so we kind of close with that in terms of what the next steps are for meetings. All right, so Sarah's kind of touched on this. I'll just close with it. In the past 2 weeks, we've had approximately 3 meetings to discuss this with those that are directly impacted, including neighbors. The next meeting is a public meeting on November 9th. That'll be at 200 College Street. And then from there, we'll proceed into the planning and zoning process with the city of Asheville, which will include a number of meetings at the Planning and Zoning Board, Technical Review Committee, and others. As always, if you'd like to keep up with the project, we've had a website available at publicinput.com/Ferry Road, which details the steps that were taken in prior work, but also the current work and what's coming next. So that's a great way to keep in touch with us. You can also sign up for project updates on that site by registering with your email address. We appreciate everyone that's joined us today. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to working with you in the future, and I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. Thank you.